Are you one of those kids that's always had trouble in social studies? Are you the person where it doesn't make sense and you feel like you'll never get it? Or are you the kid who does okay but could really do better? Then listen up, I've got some tips for you. Welcome to Learning with Sprayberry, where we make social studies fun, easy, and educational. Now, normally we cover content-specific stuff, but today we're going to hit up 5 tips and tricks for succeeding in your social studies classroom. No matter your level, these tips are going to give you a little bit of help. I'm going to preface everything with some real-world honest statements. None of this, no hint, no tip, no trick, will give you success if you aren't willing to put in the work. I've heard so many people say, I'm not doing well because the teacher doesn't like me.
Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready?
Ready!
If you look at the real world, not everyone will like you. Sometimes it just means that you need to work harder to prove yourself. I would take a kid who works hard but has trouble with the content over a kid who knows everything but doesn't try at all. Effort is important. Knowledge is important. Putting those two things together is the most important. Now that we got that reality punch out of the way, let's get on to the tips and tricks. Tip number 1, show up. You will not learn what you need to learn if you are not in class. Coming to class is the number 1 way to start succeeding. If you aren't in class, you aren't getting the material.
Bueller, 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 Bueller.
Yes, you can bust your butt and get caught up if you miss a day or two, but taking every Friday off will not help you get the material. If you're out a day, make sure to check with the teacher to see what you need to do. Teachers have a lot of students and they can't get to all of them. You might have a rock star teacher who finds you and gives you your work, but realistically, you probably don't. More important than playing catch up is just being there the first time. Tip number 2, take notes. So you got tip 1 down. You show up every day and you just sit there, turning oxygen into carbon dioxide.
Proper sitting, even reclining, is a lively activity that's part of the continuum of movement. And the more liveliness, the less stiffness.
Basically, you're a reverse plant. If that describes you, it ain't helping anybody. You're frustrated because your grades aren't where you want them to be, and your teacher is frustrated because you're just soaking up space. Fix that. Take an active part in your education. Take notes. Write notes. I'm not saying write down everything your teacher says or write down everything he or she puts on the board. Aim for your big ideas and a few details to back it up, but make an effort to get involved. There are 1,000 ways to take notes: colors, maps, bullet points, summaries. If you don't know how to take notes, spend some time on YouTube and look for note skills that work for you. I'm not going to tell you how to take notes. It's a personal strategy that you need to figure out for yourself. But however you do it, take notes. I've had students tell me, I don't learn well taking notes. Honestly, that's a cop-out. It's an excuse. What they mean is they don't learn from taking notes the way they've been taking notes. The amount of information covered in a school year or a semester is too much to hold into your head. Some people are great with words and writing. That might be their style. Other people are visual and they need images to help their notes stick. Find what works for you. Make sure to balance your style with getting the content though. If you're a visual learner, you aren't going to have time in class to craft these beautiful images and still get all the material. You might need to throw down some bullet points and turn the notes into your style of notes later. That rolls us into the next step. Tip 3, study every day. Each and every day, you need to do a little bit of studying. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. There's too much content for you to soak it all in. You've got to work with the content each and every day. At the end of the day, whether you've got homework or not, go through your material. Reading over your notes is the absolute most basic level of work you can do. It's better than nothing, but just barely. Instead, study by doing something with your notes. Make flashcards for key vocab. If your teacher's used a word in class 9,000 times, it's probably important, so throw it on a note card. If you want to step up your studying, read your notes and summarize the key ideas. Grab a sticky note, read over what you've got, and write a few sentences that cover the big points. Map out how the ideas interact. Do something with your notes that helps it make more sense to you. Even color coding your notes into a system can do more than just reading them. Think about what works for you. It's honestly not fair to expect the teacher to give you everything you need to know in an hour a day for 180 days. You've got to put in some effort too. Next tip. Tip 4. Read. Like I said, teachers cover a ton of material, more than can possibly be covered in a single day. That's why teachers give you readings. It's a chance to cover a mass of material in a small sitting. Personally, I assign very little reading, but when I do assign it, I need it read. Maybe because it can cover something I feel needs more support than class time will allow. Maybe it's because I want you to have a basic understanding before we talk about it. A class can get deeper into material if you've come to class prepared. If you've read the material, you're more likely to get a better understanding of what we're trying to learn. It lets you support your ideas, challenge assumptions, and clarify misconceptions. Tip 5. Advocate for yourself. The last tip is the easiest. Well, for most people. Stand up for yourself. I'm not talking about the kind of standing up that requires being a jerk. Don't go yelling at your teacher, "You're not teaching me!" I'm talking about the kind of standing up that means taking control of your education. If you don't get something, say it. If you feel lost, ask for help. Ask for tutoring. Ask for clarification. Ask. Let your teacher know you're lost before you get too deep. If you make a wrong turn on a road trip, you don't just keep going down the wrong road. You get directions to get you back on track. It's the same in class. If you're lost and confused, ask for help when you get confused, not weeks or months later. Asking for help the day before a test is not as useful as asking at the beginning of the unit. Stand up for yourself. You're worth it, you deserve the best, but you deserve it, but only if you're willing to work for it. I wish that I could say I followed these steps through school. I'm going to be real with you. I didn't. I got C's in math. Not because I couldn't do it, but because I refused to ask for help. I refused to study. I thought I could just sit there and do the classwork and the bare minimum homework and still knock it out of the park. It's just not going to happen. So I sit here as a former average student who realized I could have done more, asking you not to be the same average student. To this day, one of the regrets that I have is that I didn't put more effort into my education. In high school, I had to be there anyway. So why not put in the effort since I'm there already? In college, I was paying for that education. So why would I waste my money and time by not putting in the most effort I could? Question of the day. I don't pretend to be an expert in studying, and I know that some of you have tips and tricks that you've learned. What are some suggestions that you've got for those in need of social studies success? Do us all a favor and drop some knowledge in the comments below. Subscriber of the Week. So we've got to hit up Subscriber of the Week. Let's give a warm shout out to a subscriber from Instagram. This week, let's show Braden the Prince 546 some love. If you want to be featured as a Subscriber of the Week, all you've got to do is follow me on YouTube, Instagram, and or Twitter. Learn It with Sprayberry. Thanks for watching Learn It with Sprayberry, where we do our best to make social studies fun, and this time specifically easy and educational. Until next time, keep on hustling on your social studies game.